Without struggle, there is no progress. Frederick Douglass. These wise words were spoken by a man who knew struggle all too well, yet rose above it to become a beacon of hope and progress. Born as Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey around February 1817 or February 1818 on the eastern shore of the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland, he was thrust into the harsh world of slavery. The plantation was nestled between Hillsborough and Cordova, and his birthplace was likely his grandmother's cabin situated east of Tapper's Corner and west of Tuckahoe Creek. His birth was shrouded in ambiguity, with no authentic records to confirm the exact date. However, he chose to celebrate his birthday on February 14, fondly recalling his mother's endearing term for him, her little Valentine. His mother, of African descent and enslaved, and his father, who he believed was her master, of European descent, were the unlikely combination that birthed this future leader. Throughout his life, Douglass would search for the identity of his true father, a quest that would remain unfulfilled. Escaping from the chains of slavery in Maryland, Frederick Douglass emerged as a national leader of the abolitionist movement in Massachusetts and New York. His powerful oratory and razor-sharp writings against slavery made him a prominent figure within the movement. He was a living contradiction to the argument that enslaved individuals lack the intellectual capacity to function as independent American citizens. His eloquence was so profound that many found it hard to believe he had once been enslaved. In response to this disbelief, Douglass penned his first autobiography, effectively silencing the doubters. He would go on to write 2 more autobiographies, each one highlighting his experiences as a former enslaved person and reinforcing his stance on abolition. His first book, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave, published in 1845, and his second, My Bondage and My Freedom, published in 1855, became bestsellers and played influential roles in promoting the cause of abolition. Following the Civil War, Douglass continued to campaign for the rights of freed slaves. His last autobiography, Life and Times of Frederick Douglass, published in 1881 and revised in 1892, covered his life up until those dates. Douglass was also a staunch supporter of women's suffrage and held several public offices. He even unknowingly became the first African American nominated for Vice President of the United States as the running mate of Victoria Woodhull on the Equal Rights Party ticket. Frederick Douglass was a man who believed in dialogue and making alliances across racial and ideological divides. His willingness to engage in dialogue with slave owners was criticized by radical abolitionists, to which he replied, "I would unite with anybody to do right and with nobody to do wrong." On February 20, 1895, Frederick Douglass passed away, leaving behind a legacy that would resonate through the ages. His life and work made him the most important leader of the African American civil rights movement in the 19th century. To summarize, Frederick Douglass was a beacon of hope and progress born out of struggle. His powerful oratory, incisive writings, and tireless activism played a pivotal role in the abolitionist movement and the fight for civil rights. His life is a testament to the fact that indeed, without struggle, there can be no progress.